Everyone thinks they know me. The woman who stitched a flag and vanished into footnote fame. A nice, neat story. I sat in a little shop in Philadelphia, George Washington walked in, and boom, 13 stars and stripes, made by my own 2 hands. End scene. But let me tell you something. My life wasn't a fairy tale of fabric. It was grit, grief, and unshakable resolve, stitched together with far more than thread. I was born Elizabeth Griscom in 1752, to a big Quaker family, the 8th of 17 children. And when I say big, I mean the kind of big where you learn to speak up or disappear. We were devout, disciplined, and expected to follow the rules. I didn't. Instead, I apprenticed as an upholsterer, one of the few trades a woman could slide into without raising too many eyebrows. That's where I met John Ross. He wasn't Quaker. I married him anyway. Eloped, actually. That one decision cost me my place in the church, my family's support, and my safety net. But I chose love and independence. And when John died just 2 years later in a gunpowder explosion while guarding munitions for the revolution, I didn't crumble. I picked up the pieces and ran the business myself. Let me be clear. A woman running her own shop in the 1770s? That wasn't just unusual, it was revolutionary. I worked with my hands, yes, but I also negotiated contracts, bought supplies, hired workers, and kept books. While war raged and men shouted about freedom, I kept the gears turning in quiet, precise, relentless motion. Now about that flag. Did George Washington really show up at my door with a sketch and a dream? Maybe. Maybe not exactly how the legend tells it, but I did know him. We went to the same church. I did know Robert Morris and George Ross. And I did sew flags for the Continental Forces, naval pennants, battle standards, ensigns. One of them just happened to become the first flag of the United States. And yes, I suggested 5 pointed stars. Not because they were cute, because they were efficient, practical, durable. That's what my whole life had taught me to value. Function over fluff, strength over spectacle. You think I just made flags? No, darling. I made moves. While British soldiers occupied Philadelphia, I stayed. I stitched in silence while redcoats walked the streets. I kept my business open, took government contracts, and kept my mouth shut until it mattered. I passed messages between patriots, hid supplies, sewed codes into seams. We women didn't carry muskets, but we carried the weight of a revolution on our backs. I buried 3 husbands. I raised 7 daughters. I worked until I went blind. And even then, I trained my children and nieces to keep the legacy alive. The founding fathers get the marble statues. Me? I got stitched into a myth. A quiet corner of the story, smiling with a needle in my hand. But I was never quiet. I was a fighter, a widow, a mother, a tradeswoman, a risk-taker, a patriot. I didn't wear a uniform, but I wore the burden of a nation in the making. I didn't march, but I endured. I didn't speak loudly, but my work shouted across centuries. So yes, I sewed a flag. But don't reduce me to a stitch in someone else's story. I was the thread running through the fabric of America's beginning. And if you ever hold that flag in your hand, know this. The red is for sacrifice. The white is for resolve. The blue is for perseverance. And the stars, they shine because of women like me. We were never just the background. We were the backbone.